Hey, so as you guys know, I try to be pretty accessible to questions and things like that when you reach out to VNUE. And I try to answer the questions that the best I can, but I have to kind of make it available to a bunch of folks. So I'm going to try every now and then to answer a few questions that I get from emails and stuff. And I'm going to start out with a few questions I received from a couple of folks the other day. So the question was, will cover bands that play live music in bars and restaurants and stuff have to pay fees in regard to Soundster when it's deployed? And another part of that question is, would we support legal action for those who don't have Soundster or who don't have licensing covered with the PROs? So actually, I've evangelized this in the past, and I just want to kind of put it out there that we do not support suing mom and pop restaurants and bars and things like that don't have a license. Rather, what we're trying to do is evangelize the fact that it's a responsibility to get licensed, for to be able to play music. And Soundster really just provides a tool that they can go back to the PRO and say, hey, look, we're not playing hardly any of your music. Let's renegotiate this licensing agreement. Soundster actually is a very good tool for the bar owners and the restaurants as well as the PROs because, once it's deployed and we start getting this data in, everybody's going to be able to see who's playing what and when it's being played. And no, we do not ever anticipate having a cover band having to pay fees in regards to Soundster. This is clearly on the shoulders of the bars and restaurants and things like that to be able to take care of it. Would we like to see change in this industry? Absolutely. That's one of the things that we're doing with Soundster, in that, as I've stated before, we don't see this being an overnight change to change the way that the publishing, the PRO and the performing rights organizations do their billing and things like that. But we feel that if we have the tools in place that help understand what music's being played, both from the perspective of the venue owner and the artist and the PRO, then it's going to make it a much more open and accessible system where we know that the right people are getting paid and that the venues and things like this are not being overcharged for that service. So, long story short is one of the reasons I got into this to begin with was because of, constant legal threats from PROs. And that's just not the way to do business. And legal threats and lawsuits end up shutting down businesses that actually give artists and musicians a place to play. So we just want the system to work better for everybody at the end of the day. Then the other questions that I had, let's see what we've got here. Somebody asked a question about our Disc Live website and some of the stuff that we do with SatFM and whatnot, especially in regard to CDs and USBs, and they were asking, is it antiquated? Well, it's kind of an interesting thing. Believe it or not, our sales are as strong with CDs and USBs as they always have been. In a collectible market, when you have a high-end product, people tend to like to feel and touch that product. It's something that they can take home with them, they can put on a shelf, and they can, brag to their friends that they were there, and they can even play the CD, and it can be a moment that they can relive when they hear themselves scream in the background, for example. Do I think there's a tail where the CDs are probably going to become irrelevant? Eventually, I think there probably will be, which is why we don't just focus on CDs and USBs, but we have digital delivery through SatFM, as well as another, variety of other options, like a really cool laminates where we have a scratch off on the back, and then you can use the SatFM app to download the content. So our goal is to deliver the content in whatever format that the consumer wants that content to be in. And it just so happens that CDs and USBs, especially collectible ones, are very much still in demand, especially with some of the bands we work with. So that's not going away anytime soon. But obviously we have a plan and have a solution for when that does happen. I think that's all I have right now. But I think really the thrust of the questions, they're great questions. But again, you can go back through some of my earlier videos that I've done and interviews that I've had with different folks that you'll see that, we're developing Soundster so that we solve numerous problems. And, we don't want the bar owners and the restaurant owners and the venue owners hurt from this. And there is a lot, I'm sure, that fly under the radar still, but what we want to do is evangelize and encourage those venues to become licensed. And I think if we are able to help get the licensing to more of an affordable level that's based on a revenue-based system rather than just square footage and things like this, I think that's going to go a long way. So the net result will be that, these venues could honestly, they might be paying less, towards the royalties, but the net result would be more venues can become licensed because the entry point and the cost is a lot more affordable. And then the net result of that is you get more royalties going out to the artists and writers who deserve that. So I hope that answers a few questions. I'm going to try to do this from time to time. But in the meantime, thanks for your support with VNUE. Everything's going fantastic. And I'll talk to you guys soon.